Okay, Project Red. I am ready for this series. And the thing is, everybody's talking about was Power Rangers the reason why Super Sentai ended? My opinion, yes. And before anybody's just all about, you don't know what you're talking about, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna be straight up realistic right here, right now, here on YouTube. I do not know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to add my opinion about what happened. And I don't know what happened, but I'm just going to make an opinion of what happened. But I'm going to let you guys know I do not know what I'm talking about. This is just speculation. Well, from what I heard that Sentai wanted to get out of the deal because I guess they wanted to do their own expansion, which I understand. And the thing is this, maybe Power Ranger or Hasbro. I know Saban was doing this when Shout Factory was around, or still around, and they was pumping out the Sentai DVDs like Zoo Ranger, Die Ranger, Jetman, which Jetman is actually a good one. And I think they had another one, Mask Ranger. And I want to know if they had, I think they had one more. I'm surprised they didn't come out with Bioman because Bioman was very popular and was, I think that from what I heard, they showed it in the West back in the 80s. I'm talking about over there in California and Oregon and Washington State. What I heard, I don't know how true that is. But it was very popular. I'm surprised we never got that. But of Hasbro did a lot of destruction right after the when Hasbro bought it from Saban and Bandai, because I know Bandai had all the legacy toys out, and I know they had canceled a lot of Power Rangers because technically a Lightning collection replaced the legacy line. For people who don't know or new to this, that part I do know what I'm talking about because I'm an avid collector of Power Ranger toys. But as why Power Rangers had ended, I don't know what happened, but like I say, it's more speculation, and it's like, wow, it's crazy how um Sentai ended after 50 years. Even though if Hasbro had a hand in it, because I know they're doing this whole Disney Plus reboot, and I'm gonna be very, very clear when I say this. Very clear. I absolutely want the Disney Plus Power Rangers to succeed. I do. I really wanted to be successful. I'm not going to sit up here and say I want it to fail. I do not want it to fail. I want it to succeed. We had failure after failure after failure. I mean, you had successful TV shows. You might had a couple of failure TV shows. The 2017 movie is classified as a failure. Even though I like the movie to a certain extent, I don't say I love it. I enjoy it. Um, But I think we need to start having some W's with Power Rangers. But the thing is this, maybe when Project Red come out, and I'm glad Project Red is coming out before this whole Power Rangers reboot, and it's because this should give them an idea of what fans like Kamen Rider. And I am so happy Saban and Toei 2011 from there was a rumor that Saban was going to acquire Kamen Rider in its entirety. Glad that never freaking happened because we would have been sitting in this boat right now with Kamen Rider because they would have ended. And I think Kamen Rider would have ended before Power Rangers thought of ending. So now it makes sense why Cosmic Fury ended. I think because that they ended early. I think Netflix probably just didn't see no future in it, or I know there's a lot of crazy stuff going on behind the stage. Kind of glad we did have Once and Always, and that was very successful. That was classified as a movie, but that was very successful. So I take that back actually. But the thing is this is that Project Red, and I'm happy because now we get to get new things. I think Power Rangers has been so Americanized, and they really have since it slowly got Americanized, especially when it got over here to the West. And from I'm gonna say anything past '93. I mean, you can count '93 because if you look at Zoo Rangers and you look at Mighty Morphin and Old Ranger to Turbo, the Old Ranger to Zeo and Car Ranger to Turbo, which I think Turbo was a little bit better than Car Ranger. I don't care what nobody say. When I saw Car Ranger for the first time earlier this year, I said Turbo all the way. I'm sorry. And Old Ranger actually was not my favorite. Zeo was still my favorite. And only thing out of Old Ranger that I'm pretty Zeo that I was a little pretty upset about, which they technically used and it was the Gold Ranger monster, or I don't know the real. Was it what was the name? From Zeo, it was Eltar, or I think I'm saying that name right. I am Eltar, or something like that. It was something like that. Was it that his name? Eltar. But anyway, he was they hooked him up so they could do the mind drain for Zero Ranger 5 when Tommy was they was brainwashing Tommy so he would believe he was the king and the Rangers was against him. You know the episode for many Power Ranger fans, the old schoolers at least. Well, the thing is that um they did a great job with him in Old Ranger. They really made him a threat. They should have continued to make him a threat in Zeo, and he should have been like the he should have they should have did. They should. Well, that was the one episode they didn't have to do a Megazord fight, and I don't think they don't need Megazord fights every single show or every single episode. Don't need a consistent Megazord fight. That's my opinion. That's why I like Kamen Rider and Beetleborgs, and I love Power Rangers, but not every single episode needed a Megazord fight. I'm sorry. That could have been like the rate that he at least acquired a Megazord fight. If you really want to get technical, but whatever. I did like Mesogog. Um, was it Mesogog? No, that was Dino Thunder. Was Malagor from Turbo, and the Turbo movie. He was. I loved Malagor in Turbo movie. Even though he didn't talk, and then there was a Dark Spectre, um, deal in space, which in retrospect I think they were two different characters. But anyway, I'm getting that's good. That's I became a whole Power Ranger video, and I really was want to talk about Project Red. But I'm actually glad they're doing this, and I think it's awesome that they're doing this is because they, like I said, I hope they simulcast like the new Kamen Rider. How Kamen Rider is simulcast, Kamen Rider Zeets. That's a very, very good show. And we already what 14, 15 episodes in, and I'm highly invested how fast that picked up. You know, people didn't like it at first. It was a little strange at first, but that's how Kamen Rider. If people, I don't watch a lot of Kamen Rider. You know, like my favorite was Geats, Ghost, and no, I'm not the OG where I've been watching Ghost. I actually watched Ghost. Was it 2 years, 2 years last year, 2 years ago, and I loved it. So I'm pretty behind on Kamen Rider. I did watch when it was on air, Kamen Rider Dragon Knight. I did watch that. It was Kamen Rider Rookie. I did watch that when it was back in 2009 on CW4 Kids. I did watch that awesome series. Um, I know it did very successful here in America, and I'm still as happy that they didn't get it. And Saban didn't have Power Rangers even at that time. This is 2009. This is when Disney still had it. But when Disney got rid of it, when Saban bought it back in May of 2010, and I heard in 2011 when Samurai was out, there was a talks of having Kamen Rider coming full force to America. I'm glad it didn't happen. Would have been in this boat right now. And I think Kamen Rider probably would have got shelved. It probably really just got shelved. I'm very surprised they didn't do anything with Beetleborgs because technically they own Hasbro has Beetleborgs. Very surprised Hasbro didn't get into that IP. Maybe in the future, who knows? But yeah, so they think they still have some Kamen Rider stuff. They still own like Mask Rider. I don't even know who owns Dragon Knight. I don't know, and that was on CW. So I don't understand who. I don't know what's up with that show. But anyway, but Project Red, I'm really happy that they're doing what they're doing, and I'm glad they're rebranding. And I want. I don't know if it's gonna. From what I heard, every show gonna have a Red Ranger. You don't really have to do all that, but but then again, whatever. If it works, it works, right? You know. But another thing I wanted to say, I did watch. It was back in 2023. I did watch. I was a year behind. No, I was a couple of years behind actually, because Zen Kaiser. If anybody paid attention, Zen Kaiser actually told us the future. I didn't realize it until I thought about it like the other day. I'm like, wait a minute, Zen Kaiser is one ranger. Where he was just a one. Well, he had other rangers too, but it was one. It was one ranger. He looked at more like a common rider. He looked like a common rider, dude. I kid you not. And he had the beetle look. He just looked like a common rider. And I think they was telling us what their future plan was. And I'm starting to believe that right after they got past, I want to say it got. I want to say this. I want to say when it got to Russia, when it got to Russia, and then when it got down to Daotsu, and it got to the Daotsu was the one with the cubes. When they got to that one, and I think when they got to the Q Ranger, I think they knew what they were doing. I think they knew what they were going to do. Because if you think about it, they broke tradition. Because if you notice how you notice right when Disney had got rid of Power Rangers, because when Disney got rid of Power Rangers, right around that was 2009 is when Shinkenjar Samurai was what Samurai in Japan was there, because we was in RPM. Because I actually discovered Samurai actually on YouTube actually because somebody uploaded the Japanese, you know. I didn't even know too. That was my first time ever watching Sentai was on YouTube in 2010 because I typed in Power Rangers 2010 and they had all the episodes. Like literally, I got to sit there week after week after week watching the Shinkenjars. It was pretty actually cool. And then somebody also then 2010 got around. There was no Power Rangers, of course, and they already got to Ghost Seggers. That's why I talk so highly about Ghost Seggers because that was my second Sentai, which I was really highly invested into, and then I got to watch a little bit of Go Kaiser because YouTube started hitting copyrights. So Go Kaiser kind of just I got like halfway into it, and then by that point it was great anyway. That was in 2011. Samurai was coming around, so because so basically everything happened the way it happened. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I think we saw the writing on the wall with Sentai because when they got to Don Brothers, and I'm gonna tell you, I didn't even watch Don Brothers. I looked at the suits and kind of was like, and I'm not gonna lie, I did. I still haven't watched it, but I did watch the movie. I was very impressed on that movie. Actually, I was very. I think it was the Q Rangers versus Don Brothers, something like that. I think it was that movie, and I watched that like last Christmas, early this year, last Christmas. I was actually blown away on how good it was. I was like, wow. And I watched Q Ranger all the way through with the ones that had the like I think they had like 13 Rangers. It was a guy there was like a Galaxy, Lucky, the leader, his name was Lucky or something like that. That was a good series, man. That was a really good series. And I also liked the latest one that came out with the ones that look like Beetleborgs. It's gonna come to me in a minute. It's gonna come to me in a minute. The ones that just came out, they were Kings. King Andre, that's what it was. That was a good series. It had a little bit of a kind of a weird little. When it got to the late 30s, early 40s, it kind of no, it was like mid 30s, early 40s. It was kind of started to slow down, but it picked right back up. It picked right back up before the conclusion. Though that's how mostly Sentai do anyway. But anyway, but now when it got past King Andre, when they started, you start, and then when they got to there was a Bon Boomer, and the thing was, I was surprised that they said that the sales was declining. I was very surprised about that, and maybe Power Rangers did have something to do with it. Now thinking about it, because Bomb Boomer should have just been the last, or King Andre should have been the last. I guess they were trying to push it to 50, and they got to Go Zoogers, and we should have saw the writing on the wall when they did Go Zoogers, and I think that's why they was doing these anniversary series because they was telling everybody, hey, we're ending because you remember because Zenkaiger had this weird because they did the Gold Pirate Ranger, which I thought was sexy. I'm sorry, I hated the rhythm of him though. The and he had this little sing. I kind of didn't like that, but it is what it is. But other than that, it was a good series though. It was based off of food. That it was funny because Kamen Rider just the Kamen Rider Gav had this food type of theme to it. So I think Zenkaiger and Kamen Rider Gav was in the same universe. I'm sorry, it was too similar. But I think it was telling us, hey, people, we're getting ready to move on. we're gonna do it quietly, and then we're gonna just move. And now I think Power Rangers is gonna be an American thing. That's why I want Power Rangers on Disney. I do not care what people say. I'm gonna be very, very, very emotional when I say this, and I'm being very truthful. What I'm saying, I want Power Rangers to do good. Period. I wanted to do good on Netflix till that happened, but this is kind of the last chance, in my opinion. I think this is the last chance. And this time, and I hope this show will last another 20 years, another 30, 40 years. Who knows? Because Sentai lasted 50. I would like to let this last another 50 freaking years. I think it has the potential. But the one thing that this show been missing for many, 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 many years, it was the fact that they got away from what they were about. Martial arts. And I understand that they had the police theme, the dinosaur theme, the they don't really do angels and ghost themes too much here. So in America, we don't really get adventurous. But I think it'd be perfect to bring in the angels, to bring in the ghosts, the vampires, the pirates, all that other stuff. Sentai was like that, because Sentai started because it was military. We started because it was dinosaurs. But the one thing they cannot and should not ever get away from is what made it popular in the first place. And it wasn't just the dinosaurs, and it wasn't just the catchy characters and the cheesy acting, and which that was their cheesy. Mighty Morphin Power Ranger cheesy accent could never be duplicated. I'm gonna be very honest with you. It can never be duplicated, replicated. It already proved to fail once before. Stay away from that. Try to authentic. But the one thing you cannot get away from, that is martial arts. I don't care what theme you have. You need to always, the two things Power Rangers need is martial arts and kick butt music. That's what made Power Rangers. I don't care how bad Turbo. And they said that Turbo almost got the show canceled. I don't see. I think the ratings were still too high for that. Maybe the ratings was a little different, and the ratings was a lot different back then. It wasn't the internet and all this stuff. But then again, it doesn't really matter. And they said In Space was supposed to be the last series. But the thing about it, because anything after In Space, they didn't even have mixed. They didn't even have martial. They didn't even barely even touch martial arts unless you were Lightspeed Rescue. I think Lightspeed Rescue was like the last. No, Ninja. You had your Ninja series. I think you had your Ninja Storm and stuff like that. But they don't need to get away from martial arts. Yes, they have fighting. I mean, it's a fighting show, but this video won't got on too long. But please, they need to keep and make sure they keep what kept the fans happy and the money pouring. And the thing that in Dragon Ball Z is still popular. On Dragon Ball Z Worst Night, it is still popular because they kept true. Well, kind of. You're talking about the blue and all the other colors. But this is not a Dragon Ball Z video. And I'm just rambling now. So this is the end. Please stick to the formula. Don't let it get boring. Make it crisp, make it nice, make it sharp. And the music. And also for Project R.E.D, I cannot wait to see how that turn out. I'm very excited for this. 26 going to be Project R.E.D. 27 is going to be the new Power Rangers. Let's all be happy and celebrate the good stuff. All right. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, because I might make a New Year video. If I do make a New Year video, I might make it a day before so it can drop on New Year's. I don't know yet. Don't hold me to it. But you guys have a Merry Christmas, because it's still Christmas in my book, and a Happy New Year.